I was doing this, taking pictures, which I took some pictures and I'll download them and then I'll mess with the contrast and see what I can pull out. But I was focusing on this area right here because this area has changed. My nails. I'm having a problem. I've always had a problem with my right hand, my fingernails. I think it's because I know it's because I used to lift a lot of heavy stuff and smash my fingers a lot. Because I didn't move my hands out of the way. Because I was always working fast. Always had a good rhythm. It's just that sometimes my hand wouldn't get out of the way in time. Anyway, so I wanted to take a quick glance, and then I was moving my lips. Now, I was looking at a picture that I have, and it looks so interesting because when I go like this with my lips, you can actually see this like dark square right here. And then you see this black line from this square, and then I think it's over here too. I think it goes down and under. But when I move my lips like this, it looks like a ring. Actually, that was the first thing that came to my mind when I did that. I was like, is that like some type of seal? And I'm like, oh, I think it's a ring. I don't know. That's what I see in my eyes. From my eyes and my mind's eye, that's what popped into my mind. And the interesting thing about what I've learned in life, whether it makes sense or not, the first thing usually that pops into your mind or the things that you say, and then you'll be like, oh, I didn't mean to say that, or think about that, write it down or something like that, and look back on it closely because there's usually a meaning. And I've also noticed, because there's a lot of videos out right now of a couple of things I want to talk about. There's videos out now of people giving their end time. Some people are channeling and saying about there's going to be, a split coming. Well, we already know about the split because the apple in iPet Go 2 that goes rolling and splits and blossoms, the splitting of the atom. Now, when we think about that, we also know it's splitting the light and the dark, right? But we also have to look at it as splitting of an atom. We have to go down to the cellular, and when you think of cell, think of this world. This world is a cell. Nobody can get out, right? We're trapped in the cell. And you can't get out until you find the keys or at the hand of God and have a personal relationship with God. So the only way to find the keys, and then I was like thinking about these visions and stuff that people are having. The visions that I have and the experiences that I have, I only tell people because of the symbology of what I went through, but I don't speak it to people to where this is what's going to happen next, because from my perspective, throughout my whole life, my visions and dreams, which I'm sure the images that are coming out on my face and stuff are probably, the thing that a long time ago when I started noticing this, it's like I got to thinking about a globe. Remember in The Wizard of Oz where the witch is going like this over that round disc, and there's these images and stuff coming out to kind of like tell the future, kind of like that thing, but it's actually on my body. I know it's a different concept, but again, that's another thing about perspective. We got to look at different ways. And going back to my visions and dreams, there were like for me, they were like about me on my journey, but they were encoded, and I had to solve what the, just like solving the parables. I had to solve like the vision that I had when I was at God's feet. Right before I got to even come around the corner, there was three of my high school friends, or two of my high school friends, my older brother. So I walked in one bedroom and pulled the sheet down and seen Lance, who had the all this money, between his legs, and he was scared. I go, come on, he's here. And Lance pulled the covers back up, but it wasn't a cover, it was just a sheet. It was like these white beds, and they just were sheets, right? And our bodies were in them. But I wasn't in them. I just walked in to open up the door, and I opened up the next door in the next room, and Belinda was in one bed, and my older brother Bill was in the other bed. And I go, come on, you guys, let's go. And they both covered their head. And I was just like, oh, what are you doing? And I closed the door and went around the corner. And that's when Prince Michael come up to me in this, he's got this white robe on, gown, I should say. And the gown on like around the corners and around here were gold. And he had this black book open. And it's like he hovered over to me. And I think it's kind of interesting because I think he was on a hoverboard, and he just hovers over to me, and behind him was Archangel Gabriel. And like I can see him right up above him. It was so interesting when they were coming to me, and I looked at him as I was coming into this opening. And as soon as they come over to me, I go, does God want to talk to me? And he goes, yes. I go, well, what about? And he goes, and Archangel Gabriel goes, oh, I'll show him. And he takes off into this other room that I could see, and there's all these computer screens or television screens lined up against the wall in a straight row, and he starts putting up these images. And then I kind of went into I think I fell. I think I fell to my feet or something. Kind of like blacked out or something. But next thing you know, I'm awake again. And next thing you know, I'm on this big, huge hovering platform at God's feet. Because remember, I was telling you, I was taking my left leg, because my left leg was up against his left leg. And I was looking at his brass feet, and I'm like, oh, how cool. He does have brass feet. Oh, I want to touch it. I know, me, right? Oh, I want to touch it. Because I was so curious, because his feet were so attractive or beautiful. They really were just beautiful feet. And I'm putting my foot up next to him, my leg up next to him, and I'm comparing the size. I'm like, oh, he's giant. He's big. And as soon as I reached down because I was leaning down to touch his foot, and all of a sudden, as soon as I'm leaning down, I'm like, oh, I'm between his legs. He can hear everything I'm saying. And then that's when he picked me up from behind and, hovered up to the first, we looked in the first, screen, and it was a periodic table. And then we looked at the next screen, and the next screen was my notes, but I didn't notice them. I go, oh, these look like my notes. Somebody writes like me. And we go to the third screen, and I go, these are my notes. And I turned around, looked at Archangel or Prince Michael, and I go, these are my notes. And then all the way down were all the notes that I've been doing, right? Until we got to the last screen. And I remember looking in the screen, and I turned back, and I looked at Prince Michael, and I looked in that screen again. And as soon as I was turning back to look at him, God had pulled me into him. And then that's when I just was melted. I mean, I was so relaxed and comfortable. I didn't want to move. I was so in love. And then I just lit up like this gold light. I mean, it was so beautiful. I was like, wow, check this out. I mean, literally, I was too, in my mind, my thinking. I remember it till this day. Whoa, this is amazing. Oh, the feeling. This is great. What the heck is going on? And I don't want to move. I am so in love. I do not want to move. And then next thing you know, I can feel it all the way through my body. It was like everything from my toes to top of my head, my fingers, my sexual organs, the whole works. I mean, I didn't get hard or anything. I was just so thrilled and loved, relaxed, enjoyment. And then the gold light's going away, and he goes, "I'll meet you on the second plane." And I'm here like I remember because I was in and out of when I was laying on the couch, I was in a vision. I knew I was in a vision because when I was laying on the couch and when that gold light hit, I went like this with my eyes. When I was, laying in my bed, I was like, "Oh, I'm in a vision." And I closed my eyes and I'm back in the gold light again. And I go, "Oh," I open up my eyes again. And I go, "Oh, I'm traveling between two worlds." And I close my eyes and I'm back again. And then that's when he says, "I'll meet you on the second plane." And I remember going, what? So I'm laying on the couch. And the thing about that is when I was laying on the couch, and after he said, "I'll meet you on the second plane," I just opened up my eyes. I was like, what? Second plane? What second plane? Well, I think I know it now. It's the astral plane. I think that's the second plane that he's talking about now. And I just kind of figured that out. So, that it's just interesting. Then I woke up and I was laying on the couch and I didn't want to move. I was so comfortable. I was so relaxed. I think I laid there for like another 10 minutes. Just with my eyes open and rethinking the whole, what just happened. I remember trying to close my eyes back again to hopefully go back, but that was kind of like the message for me, right? And then I was going, they took pictures of my work, the notes I've been taking. They actually took pictures. They're taking pictures. They're watching me, watching what I'm doing. And, it's all that kind of excitement, right? And when I got up, I mean, I was like slowly getting up and I was just like, wow, I am so comfortable. I was too. The whole day I was just, writing down everything I can remember. But it's very important because I started looking at, my brother being there, Lance being there, Belinda, my high school friend. I'm like, well, why were they in it? So then I started thinking about solving it. I'm like, Lance. And then I was looking up Lance, what Lance means, on the spirit or in the church or whatever. And Lance is the Holy Lance. It's the Holy Spear, SPEAR, like a spear. It's the Holy Spirit is what it is. So it's got many names. Lance, the Holy Lance, the Holy Spear. The Holy Spirit is what it is pretty much for what Lance was representing. And then I go into the next bedroom, and that's why I see Belinda. Well, my mother's name's Linda, and I researched my family names and the family names, and Linda means serpent. Well, remember, the serpent is the DNA. It's kind of like saying the dragon, the fire. And then be Linda, or I can look at it as be loved. It can go both ways, beloved, or be means kin, like a kinship. And that's why B is represented as the crown, the kinship, right? The king, or the tribe. Let's put it that way, the tribe. And then my brother's name's William, so it's Will, I am. Well, the Will is Gimel, the third letter, and I am is the I, my spine down, my iron, my blood, and am is atomic molecule. it's so interesting how I was looking at that, how all, when I was trying to figure out why they were there and the symbology of it, and it was in their names. It's not who was actually there. It was not so much the person that was there, it was the name of the person. So that's why I was saying on these visions and dreams that people are experiencing stuff. I think that these visions and dreams, from my perspective, are about my journey. It's giving me clues for me to solve. Because when I hear other people, they're like saying, well, God's saying this. Well, the only time God would talk to me is when he would talk to me something relating to me, because it's a personal relationship. But I'm not going to say that God's not going, because there's so many people out there that say that God's channeling him, but they just don't sound like something that God would say. And I think that's because of me hearing his voice and being at his feet, and from how they're expressing things. And I sit there and I think God is giving them that vision, just like he does for me, of telling them what they need to work on. But they're not seeing it. They're thinking that message is for everybody else. Just remember, everything is about your own personal relationship. And remember, we're not supposed to be doing any of this channeling and stuff like that as well. The witchcraft. Don't do spells. Don't do witchcraft. Don't make potions. Don't do any of that. Sorcery, witchcraft or sorcery. Don't do any of that. And now I figured it out, because the dark of this world do that, right? They invoke the dark of this world up, right? So it's like the earth, right? When people make all these rituals and stuff like that, make diagrams on the ground, or in the rooms and stuff, they're doing a form of black magic. They're doing the dark magic, black, dark, right? They're pulling up the spirit, the negative spirit. So Jesus tells us not to do any of that, because we are the kingdom of God. We don't have to do that. We just go into our mind's eye into God's kingdom and pray to God and look up to heaven, right? We don't look down, because remember, the churches, they tell you, now bow your head. So now you're bowing down, praying in the wrong direction. So anyway, people, I just wanted to throw that quickness out there. Oh, and then on Facebook for the last month, all of a sudden, my homepage, or my page, is just not my homepage, but my just regular page, when you pull it up, is just flooded with nothing but Hollywood stars and actors. And people are putting thousands and thousands of loves and likes and everything, because they're like women. They're the women of Hollywood, and they're all dressed all slutty and stuff, and you pulling things up in their crotch. And I think about this, what was coming to my mind is that, remember, Jesus had told us that the God of the little g on this land told him he would give him anything on the land, or any of it, if he stopped worshiping God and worshiped him. That was a big key factor, and not to do witchcraft and all that stuff. But here they have Harry Potter and all that stuff, where they have kids doing it and stuff. So it's kind of interesting, because this is where the parents need to step in. Instead of being the children's friend, they need to be the adult. But there's a reason for everything. And it's like yesterday I started seeing, I'm like, there's a reason for everything. This is why we don't do rituals on the land. This is why we don't have altars on the land. Because if we look at the Old Testament, it was at an altar, right? Sacrifices at the altar. Well, that world passed when Jesus come into the New Testament. There's no more sacrificing. He was the sacrifice. He was telling everybody, and that's where he said no witchcraft and everything. Stop all that. Stop doing all that. Stop killing life. Stop taking life. For that kind of symbolism. But do remember the days of Noah. Do remember the Torah, right? That's very important because the Torah talks about our genes, Genesis, how we're made and created. So it's like in the laws of God, right? Don't bow down, don't make anything, don't create anything of the image of heaven above or heaven below, and bow down and worship it to it. So like at Shiva, you got the Christian church, you have crosses with Jesus hanging on. You've got even them worshiping bulls at the stock market, a golden bull. There's just so much that are people praying to walls, a stone wall, laying their hands on a stone wall. They've built these things to worship and pray to them instead of looking up and praying to God in heaven and seeing themselves as the kingdom of God. And then going back to, I can't seem to get rid of them off my Facebook page. All these, like the women off Friends, or the two girls that are on oh my gosh, what is the name of it? But anyway, just picture Hollywood women where, they're just dressed all sleazy, showing everything with their legs wide open and their crotch. And I looked at the comments, and of course all the guys are like, yeah, you're hot, you're gorgeous, you're the one, But I got I keep trying to block them because it makes me sad that they give up that much to get as much as they can in this world to be seen. They were tricked. I'll give you anything as long as you don't worship God and you worship me. So that means that's why Hollywood people are, the way they are, is because they're not worshiping God. So, and then like Jesus said that, these key words, about how he was offered, to have anything and everything as long as he just didn't pray to God and worship God. And then here we are today where no one either believes God or there's people being videoed, I seen on Facebook, where they're asking older people about God, and they're like, oh, he's not true, he's not real or nothing. But, it's like now they're treating him like, he's not even there. And it's so bizarre. Oh, and another quick thing I want to talk about is that when you look at the, I'm from Gen X. If you look at the first generations that started on the generation map, it's the silent generation, it's the boomer generation, it's the X generation, it's the Y generation, it's the Z generation, and it's the Alpha generation. Now, and that's where this year ends the Alpha generation. And it's quite interesting. Now, when we look at that, we look at silent boomers. The X is the chi, or the dragon energy. So, and the XY means the male, the Adam chromosome. So, you've got the silent boomers, and chi is keys. It's the two sticks that cross over each other, or are crossing. And then the Y is the hand of God, the Yod. And then you've got Z. Z is like that lightning bolt, the weapon. It's the energy. It's the energy to turn, and I'll tell you here in a second. And then you got A. A is alpha. A is the ox. A is the beginning. Okay, now, silent boomers, keys, chi is key, the X, keys, and then hand, the Yod, the Y is generation, is the hand of God. Oh, I've got to write this down. And then you've got Z, which is energy, a bolt of lightning, something that turns something possibly. And then you got Alpha is the beginning. So it's like when you look at the generations from the beginning, it goes silent, it goes boomers. So if you read it, it goes silent, boomers, key, hand of God, Alpha, or the ox, or the beginning. Remember, if we're in a cell, we've got to find and learn our way out of here, piece things together. This is why when we look at things, we just don't look at this generation like I was doing too. I was like, oh my gosh, Generation Z, please. But now I get it. Once you start opening up your mind and reading stuff and pull down what they taught you here in the land, but don't get rid of it, because some of it is still true. But it's like you find your way out. Remember, because we're seeking the kingdom of heaven. We're trying to find the keys. We're trying to find our way out. And the only way to do it is to do the work, or sit back and just do nothing and keep doing your daily life and just die and pass away. Because, the thing about it is, we're not built to just die. We are built to last. That's why in the old times, people lasted longer, and now people are not lasting that long because of everything that they're doing, the food and everything, and not doing the work. And that's the big thing, because we're very powerful, energetic beings, but people look at their pains and their aches and everything, and they don't pull in the light. They just allow the dark to treat them with their potions and witchcraft. And then they even make up their own potions and witchcraft. And that's when they start selling it to others and taking down others, So again, that's why you shouldn't be doing it, or possibly being in those fields. But we all got to figure it out ourselves. But I think that we all should also teach ourselves too. Who's ever going to listen, I should say. Have a wonderful Friday, everybody. It's beautiful. It's so warm in this car. I'm going to smoke a couple puffs of my joint and head out for a nice little walk in the sun. Have a great day.